So, what makes me cranky about Mission Impossible Fallout? For how hard Paramount fought Warner Brothers over it, I was expecting Henry Cavill's mustache to be a character in and of itself. But the thing isn't the least bit important to this movie. It's not even a particularly epic stash. For $25 million and basically ruining any kind of secondary shots of Superman and Justice League, that thing should have been Tom Selleck quality, and instead it's just like average Russian stuntman level. They easily could have gotten a fake one to replace it and nobody would have known the difference. But I suppose I understand Paramount's position here. By the time they got done paying Tom Cruise's insurance premiums, they wouldn't have had enough money left over to afford one of those cheap plastic Halloween mustaches. Because holy hell does that man seem to have a death wish. Assuming he can die, since he doesn't seem to age. I can only imagine how the conversations with the production team went. Okay guys, so last time we had me hanging on the edge of a plane as it took off. I think we can top that. How about I climb a rope hanging from a helicopter? Well, you know, I don't think that's gonna work too well, Mr. Cruise. No, you're right. Too tame. How about, as I start climbing the rope, the helicopter starts flying off, and then when it's really high, I'll let go and catch myself again near the bottom. Sure, I guess we could do that with some pretty good green screen. What? No way. We're gonna do it for real. If Ethan Hunt can do it, I totally can do it. And that's just one of the numerous insane stunts this movie has that you can clearly see Tom Cruise is actually performing. He makes Keanu Reeves look like a piker with this movie. Jumping out of airplanes, high-speed chases of various types, hard-hitting hand-to-hand combat, his trademark power running. You've got everything you could possibly want in an action film here, and you can see Cruise's face the entire time. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought they took that new face replacement technology that people use to put famous people's faces onto porn stars, and then used it to get Cruise's face on some stuntmen. As crazy as it is for Cruise, and certainly a number of his fellow castmates like Henry Cavill, to do the stuff themselves, I gotta admit it lends an incredible level of authenticity to the whole movie. And you have to give Cruise massive credit for being willing to put his body and probably his life on the line to bring us that authenticity. Christopher McQuarrie doesn't actually have to shoot around Cruise, so he doesn't, and all of the action sequences are better for it. Seriously, this movie has the best directed hand-to-hand fight since John Wick 2, and one of the best high-speed chases I've seen in a really long time. This one sequence where Cruise is riding a motorcycle through Paris without a helmet on is just beautiful. I can't say enough good things about how well that sequence is shot. You always know the relative positions of the vehicles, you can always tell it's actually Cruise on the bike, and it never once feels like they're doing it at anything less than full speed. They don't even cheat by making the streets conveniently empty. There are tons of civilian vehicles and other obstacles in the way. They constantly switch angles and perspectives to keep it exciting and fresh, but not so fast as to make things incomprehensible. It really is fantastic to watch a sequence like that and know exactly what's going on for once without it just being boring. Unfortunately, I didn't find any of the stuff after that to be nearly as thrilling, which means the movie was pretty anticlimactic. It's not that the stunts don't get even more insane after that, they do. It's just that this one bike chase is just that good. The other drawback is, the plot is pretty lame. Basically, Ethan and co need to stop an amorphous terrorist group from getting a hold of and detonating some nukes. Usually the intrigue on that lies in the mysteries of who's on what side and what kind of Ocean's 11 hijinks Hunt has engineered to stay one step ahead of his enemies, but there really isn't anything in the way of mystery here despite their attempts to put in twists. I suppose there will be people too dazzled by the action to see the obvious things coming, but it was almost painful to wait for the characters to catch up with the rest of us in the audience. Oh look, that person's a double agent, never saw that coming. I mean, I understand we've all seen enough spy movies now that it's really hard to fool anyone because every double cross and nefarious plan has been done to death, but it doesn't have to be that obvious. At least make me wonder a little bit. Throw in a few red herrings here and there. Hell, pull a Ryan Johnson if you have to and just not follow through on a Chekhov's gun. The actors all take it seriously though, so at least it isn't goofy. Once again, we see that Henry Cavill could be much more fun to watch if he's allowed to play a character who can have expressions other than morose. Tom Cruise is still Tom Cruise, of course, although this Ethan Hunt has lightened up considerably from who he was in the original Mission Impossible movie. He also spends a lot more time saying he's sorry to people, which seemed to be his defining character trait in this movie. That and pining after women he probably can't be with. Which brings me to how nice it is to have a female spy character kick ass without looking absurd. So once again, props to the stunt team and to Rebecca Ferguson for making Ilsa a character worth keeping around. Beyond all that, the only other real criticism I have is the score gets pretty overbearing at times, particularly towards the end, but since it too has some really great moments, usually back during the really awesome bike chase type stuff, it's not a huge problem. So despite those issues, I thoroughly enjoyed Mission Impossible Fallout. That bike chase was worth the price of admission alone, and there are at least 3 other action bits I can think of that were just as fun to watch. This kind of stuff is why we go see movies on the big screen, and I'm really happy to get to recommend a genuine summer blockbuster for a full-price ticket after so many mess this year. So that's what I thought about Mission Impossible Fallout. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to help the channel get bigger by liking the video and hitting that subscribe button for more in the future.